All right. Well, this is an interesting one for me, I got to tell you. I'm sitting here in Indiana, in the middle of the country that we live in. We're here at the Heritage Center.
It's called The Center.
The Center.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm already being corrected.
Of the Heritage Group.
Okay. Wow.
Incredible organization.
But even more importantly than that, who I'm sitting here with. So for those who are listening, just tell us who you are and your role in the company that you're here with.
Yeah, so I'm Jason Richmond, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at BUILDWITT.
So just to be really clear, anybody that is listening to this podcast right now, they all know who you are, and they're like, "Who the heck is this Josh Malott guy with Jason Richmond?" Yeah, seriously, it's a great experience to sit down here and have an honest conversation with you. Our desire here on the line is to lift the view of the skilled trades, and we do that through honest conversation. You and I were having some of that earlier here, and just talking about the importance of these conversations and multiplying and being honest and real. And so as I've gotten to know you, just briefly over the past few months, you're honest and real. And I'm finding that more and more as I relate with different team members of the BUILDWITT team, from Aaron to Randy, just talking with you guys and seeing who you are and how authentic you are.
Yeah.
We were just talking earlier, and you said that someone was asking you, well, I'm waiting for the real Jason, and it's like, you're right here.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, I love that.
This is me.
I love that. Well, when we first got together here this morning, when we met, we both gave each other books, and I had someone comment on the podcast and said, what are some of the books that you guys read, just wanting some sort of tangible value. And so why don't you just mention what you gave me and why you think it has value for those who are listening, and I'll do the same.
Yeah. I gave you the book, The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni. And, it's a combination of a lot of the things that he's written about and talked about for a number of years. But it ultimately comes down to building healthy organizations.
Yeah.
And it is truly where we're at now. You've got organizations that are really doing well, like the Heritage Group, and building super healthy organizations and investing in people and culture and transparency and values. And, that's it's pretty neat to see, someone like Patrick write such a profound book. And so just thought, hey, excited to be on the line, wanted to get you a little gift, wanted to say, thank you. And so, yeah, got you the book, The Advantage.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that Lencioni has some really good things to say. I've read some of his other books, and so that's something that if you're listening, I would encourage you to read. And I'm just glad this is one that I haven't read.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
Not that I haven't read his books more than once, because I have. Well, I shared with you a book by the guy by the name of Matt Higgins. I think that's right. And it's called Burn the Boats.
Yeah.
And, on the podcast that BUILDWITT has years ago, I listened, and I think it was Aaron that said, well, you just need to send it. You just need to send it. And I love that statement. I started using it. My kids said it made me sound relevant. So that was helpful. But Burn the Boats is all about, if you're going to do something, there's don't hide a boat over in the bushes. Don't hide something over here. And it's all talking about if you're going to full send something, if you're going to go after it, doing just that. And the amount of people who are successful when they burn the boats, meaning they're like, I don't have a backup plan. I'm all in. I'm going all the way. And those who do have a backup plan or way out, they basically talk about how you're setting yourself up to fail. And I thought that was really interesting, because when you do certain things, it's really scary.
Yeah.
But even if you go through the history of that statement, Burn the Boats, it's about getting that full-on commitment, because that really is the only way that we can really make positive change, is to be all in.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to read the book. Never read it, so it's funny we both got each other books. And as a big-time reader, it's wild that you got me one I haven't read. But it fits with my DNA in a big way. My personality is all in or none at all. So I'll be super excited to to read the book, understand it, and maybe learn a little bit about myself.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, thank
it's
you.
a good one for sure. Well, with that, we're going to break from our normal format just a little bit here. I want to honor the center and the Heritage Group for allowing us to be here because now, like I said, everybody knows Jason, but so he made some phone calls and got us lined up to come here. And I would like, if we could, just take a couple of minutes to talk about what it is that's here. And because this doesn't look like a center or a construction company. We're sitting in the woods and there's cabins behind us. Why don't you talk a little bit about what they do and where we're sitting and what's going on?
Sure. So I'll do my best. Obviously, I don't work for the Heritage Group, but I've always respected them in my entire career. There are about 30 operating companies with over 5,000 employees and have been around for about 90 plus years. Fourth generation family run business. And they have just reinvested in themselves year after year after year. And one of the things that they identified several years ago was that, they needed a place to kind of come and meet the center to really, bring innovation, creativity, a place for people to gather, a place for people to unite, and a place to really, take the industry to another level. And this is what you see is the center. They have the Heritage Research Group, which is really well known across the dirt world, we'll say.
Yeah.
Just all the things that they do there. But they've also got HG Ventures, which they're investing in, dirt world companies. They've got the Accelerator and Techstars program. But it's also a place for their many business units under Heritage and Construction Materials to come together and to collaborate and to work on, going after projects or acquisitions and mergers or, looking at, potential growth. And so they've also got a huge auditorium where they can host events and bring people in. There was, as we were walking through,
they
there
gave
was
us a tour. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, the place is just remarkable. But I love, you just walk in and Freddie's there. She answers the door. She's a staple within the organization. She knows everybody that comes in and out of the place. They've got a great, kind of history and section that kind of talks about who they are and their mission and their vision and their values and some of the history of the organization, which is just super incredible. They've got, the bar, they've got the lunch area, they've got meeting space, but it truly is just a remarkable location. And I'm just forever grateful for Kirsten answering a text over the holiday weekend, checking into it and giving, us a space to record. And, out here, out back, after you walk past the massive patio and the volleyball court, you show up to 3 miles of trails where you can come out and do a walkabout to really, kind of just get your creative mind going, maybe walk shoulder to shoulder with somebody and kind of work through a problem. Or they've got these incredible cabins out here in the woods. I just can't believe it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, to just come out and to just be innovative and creative and really take things to another level. And what I'm excited about is like this. A lot of people dream about the future, and it feels like this is the future.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's neat to come and see it and experience it. And, like I said, I don't work here, but I have tons of friends that do and people that I've worked with for, over a decade. And I just have enormous respect for this place. But what I'm most excited about is that hopefully we can start to shine a light on it.
Yeah.
And people can start to see it and go, wow, I want that. And there are several other organizations that are starting. There's lots of winners that are starting to bubble up to the top that are really investing in their people, their places, their spaces, and kind of what it could be.
Yeah. I just think it's fascinating. I love how you call it the future. And we were talking, about some of our core ethos when we were walking around there. I mean, it's like a museum. Like when my kids were little, we would take them to D.C. and we would go to different museums, and it felt very much like that, walking through the history of the heritage over the past 90 years, which is nothing to sneeze at for sure. But we were talking about you're in two camps. These were your words. So why don't you just share them with us, because I think they're really important, and it's clear this is what the one camp looks like.
Yeah, so what I said was people and businesses are in one of two places. They're either in learn and grow, or in protect and defend.
Yeah.
And very much so, the Heritage Group is in a learn and grow mode. They're investing.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah, big time. They're learning, they're innovating, they're creating, they're trying new things. You know, to me, that's what it's all about. When you start to get into that protect and defend mindset, you start saying no a lot and reducing all risk. And it's like, if we're going to take the dirt world where it needs to go, or skilled trades where it needs to go, we've got to be willing to step up and try new things and do new things and lean into new experiences, because that to me is where growth happens. And,
I agree.
So yeah, really excited about that.
So, you know, here at The Line, we pride ourselves in being authentic and real.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're listening, you can't see how I'm fighting bugs off of my face because we're sitting out in the woods. But yeah, we don't edit anything, even when I get like a mosquito in my eye. So it's great. So
I'd much rather be outside. So
I love it.
I'm glad that we're outside.
I'm very glad that we're outside. I absolutely love it. And I love just the facility and, you know, the essence of what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
I find, this might be a weird word for it, but I find it very encouraging.
Oh yeah.
I want to
like
be in the learn and grow school of thought.
I like that.
You know,
Well, you know, you told me, hey, I'm coming to Indy. Let's record a podcast. And I'm like scared to death, but super excited. And so the only requirement was, hey, find me a place.
that is
And
correct.
and you know, many know that BUILDWITT's headquarters is in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And, you know, as a remote worker, I love it and I hate it. I didn't think doing a podcast in my home office was going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted to try and find something, you know, super creative and innovative in a place that you guys might be able to see and that we can start to shine a light on to really inspire, you know, people within the industry about, you know, what it is and what it could be.
Yeah.
And so I'm really glad that we're here, and being outdoors it makes me closer to the dirt world. So I love it.
Well, I mean, you really used the right word. It's better than what I said. Inspire is like, I mean, that's really what it is. And the fact that an organization and a company can inspire others to do it better.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're here for. Whether, you know, BUILDWITT would say making the dirt world a better place. Blackline would say lifting the view of the skilled trades. But it's the same thing.
100%.
And we exist, both of our organizations, to inspire people to do it differently.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a big thing of why we connect so much with your team. You know, you guys had Dirt World last year, and it was just amazing. And I remember when Aaron invited me, I thought to myself, I'm not in the heavy civil world. You know, I don't understand what this is going to be. And honestly, to be quite honest, I just, our team was like, well, we have to go. You know, it's like you have a friend and they're having a party and it's their first party. We have to be there.
Yeah.
And so I went with not really knowing what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I did a podcast there. Didn't know that was going to happen either. But we went with not knowing what it's going to be. But it was such a huge investment in us and everyone that was there. You guys basically invited everyone into your house and said, here, let us invest in you.
Yeah.
I mean, you had people like Jocko there.
Yeah.
You know, you had Marcus Sheridan there, you know, and others. And it's like you truly invested in those of us that are here, and you guys are doing it again.
Yeah.
And I've seen the list of the people that are going to be there, and you're doing it again.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible experience. It was and it will be, and it's something that, you know, we hope will live on well beyond ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's something that started, but I don't think it ever will have a finish. So really excited about that. And for those that are listening, you know, like the dirt world, that was a definition that, you know, kind of Aaron made up. It's kind of tired of talking about heavy civil construction industry, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of words that goes with it. And so he coined the phrase dirt world. And for us, what that means is,
I love where you're going with this.
It's for those who build and support critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that definition continues to broaden, you know, over and over again. And so what started out as potentially dirt that got into asphalt, that got into building roads and bridges and concrete and materials. And, architectural engineering, and it just continues to expand, into all trades.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at now and where we're going. And so yeah, it is. This year's summit is going to be incredible. We got a great speaker lineup, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I would double down on what you're saying there, and just encourage people who might be listening, whether BUILDWITT in the dirt world. I heard Randy say it this way, basically, from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like, and we're all involved in that. And I would just encourage people, if you want to be invested in and you want to grow,
That's right.
then the Dirt World Summit, it
you.
really, Blackline has been involved in some other pieces of some of the things that you're doing. We work with a company from Georgia that's actually going to be speaking at an event you're doing, which is you're doing these.
Workshops.
Talk about that. Talk about your workshops and talk about why. I would like to know why. Is that all right? We're kind of rolling
This is your
right
podcast.
into this. I know.
My job is just to answer questions.
Okay,
So
well, good.
I'll do the best I can. So we started out, a year ago doing some peer grouping, and it was like 20 people showed up at the first one, then it was 40, and it was just like going to places like the center and just bringing people in and just talking about, the industry, where it's at, where it's going, benchmarking, what's working, what's not working, and trying to figure out how to level up organizations. This year, decided to do 2 major workshops. And I say major because we went, and partnered with some major brands.
I did notice that.
The first one that we did this year was actually with First Form. And I was in St. Louis. It was in February. We had about 100 people show up at the event. And these are paid events, and they're not cheap. It brings in, a lot of leadership within organizations that are looking to learn and grow, a lot of innovative, creative people that are looking for something, right? And the reason that we partner with First Form is, if you think about the dirt world, not the most healthiest.
Yeah.
They there's a lot of things that happen. So, it's a high-stressed environment. They work hard. They work long hours. A lot of times they skip the workouts. They don't take care of themselves. They don't eat properly. Their nutrition is off. They don't sleep well. They prioritize themselves last.
Yeah.
And, in order to really attract the next generation, it's like, who wants to be overweight and unhealthy and lack of sleep? Like, that doesn't make people want to be a part of that. And so we wanted to start investing in places like health and nutrition to teach people, what it could be, and trying to find a balance. And it's not perfect. And trust me, I'm throwing a blanket over this. Like, everybody in the dirt world is unhealthy. No, there are many that are very healthy, doing great things, that take care of themselves. But if we're going to, sustain and grow this industry, bringing people together around leadership, bringing people together around best practices, and investing in those types of things is super important. The next one we're doing is coming up. It's going to be at Knife Rivers Training Center. It's in Albany, Oregon. We have about 200 people coming to that one. So leveled up from 100 to now 200. Pretty amazing. But Knife River, they are a material supply and construction company west of the Mississippi. They have about 6,600 team members that work for their organization, and they've invested in a training center, and it is a world-class, state-of-the-art training center. They have an 80,000 square foot dome, so if it's raining, you can still go inside. They've got equipment. They can run all the equipment inside of this dome. They've got classroom setting. They've got video cameras where they can actually see. The instructors are sitting on an observation deck. There's someone in the cab running the piece of equipment. There's cameras so they can see, and they're coaching in their ear. They're wearing a headset. They're coaching in there. They can see what they're seeing, and it's just absolutely incredible. But, we're bringing JP Donnell to that event from Echelon Front, and he's going to talk about how to build a training culture within your organization. And then we have several from the industry that are leaders within their company that are coming to share transparently who they are, what they do, what's working for them. And it's just a great place and space for people to come to network and peer group and benchmark from some of the best in the industry.
Well, I think there's something to be said, too, about being at an event with only 200 people. Mm-hmm. You're really going to get to connect with people.
That's right.
And those people being there, they're spending that money because they're like-minded.
That's right.
And they have that learn and grow mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I love that mentality, it's not a noble thing, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I like to make money.
Sure.
Learn and grow mentality, that's how you make money for the long term.
That's right.
Like we are sitting here at this center, and I have a little bit of an awareness of what it costs to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't do that if you're not being profitable.
That's right.
And they're continuing to reinvest that. And 90 years, we talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
How many companies actually make it to 100 years, and the percentage of what that is very, very small.
That's right.
Very small.
Well, let's just be real. I mean, like, we need companies in the construction industry to make money, to make more money, to be profitable, to build profitable businesses. Because when you know, as Bob Chapman spoke at the summit last year, who wrote the book Everybody Matters, the business model is build an incredible business and then invest in your people, and that's the flywheel.
Yeah.
And you have to make money to invest in those people. And so, that's part of what our mission is all about, is, providing education, training, spotlighting these organizations that are doing it well.
Yeah.
And so that, the rising tide rises all ships. And that's what we're after.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're outside of our normal format, but I love it because this is just, this is what we're here to talk about.
Sure.
This is truly what we're here to talk about. So let's shift gears a little bit, and let's go into a little bit about who Jason Richmond is and how, because I know that you absolutely love podcasting and you love social media. You love, anybody, you have a podcast, that BUILDWITT does called Dirt Talk.
Correct.
And on that podcast, I listened to your episode, and I actually listened like a year ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I listened to your episode, and you really helped me to be okay with being on social media. And this is, I know people won't believe this, but this is like the last thing that I wanted to do. But I believe in it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to sit across from someone who is sitting here for the same reason.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that there are a lot of people, and we'll call it the dirt world since you're my guest here today, and that's your term. But there are a lot of people out there in the trades that are like, yeah, I don't want to be public. I don't want to be sharing this or sharing that. So let's talk about your origins, how you got to where you are, and then we'll get into why this is so important.
Yeah. So I am a fourth generation road builder. When the Indianapolis 500 went from bricks to asphalt, my great-grandfather paved the track for the Grady brothers. I tell people I was destined for the industry. I actually shared a picture of me sitting on my father's lap in 1977 on a Cat D7 dozer.
Yeah.
I turned 18 years old, went to work for my dad on a grade crew. So I spent 3 years on a grade crew. Had no clue what I was doing. Showed up at 18. It was like, go fetch this, go get lunch, go get a shovel, go get tools. And he had to explain to me what they looked like because I had no idea what they were. But 3 years on a grade crew. I spent 4 years on an asphalt paving crew. And then something real interesting happened. I left the place that I was at to go and join an engineering firm to do inspection type work. And I walked in to the area manager at the time and said, I have this unique opportunity. I've been asked to join this engineering firm. And, I just have to take a chance, and I want to go see what this is all about. And it feels like a chance for me to kind of get out there and do something new and different. And I'll never forget that leader said, I want you to go and get as much experience as you can. I'm really, really proud of you. And in 2 years, I'm going to hire you back as an estimator project manager. And, as a young 20-something, I was super just like intrigued by the conversation and confused, to be totally frank with you.
Yeah.
So 18 months later, he walks out on the job site where I was at, and he says, I can't wait 2 years. I need you as an estimator project manager. And I took a pay cut, a pretty significant pay cut to come back. And I said, hey, all I'm asking for is I'm looking for mentorship. I want to finish my education. And I, just want the time and the space and the support to be able to really grow. And so if you're willing to invest in me in that way, I'm all in. And so I came back, was an estimator for the next 5 years. And what I didn't realize was that just meant I was going to work my butt off. And so it was, full-time job plus education plus the mentorship. But I was able to go back to school, finish my undergrad in organizational leadership, ended up getting my MBA. I wrote a marketing plan for the company I was working for, created a business development position that had never existed. And as I presented to the executive team, they said, "Who do you have in mind for that BD role?" And I said, "Well, I sure would love the opportunity." And what's ironic is, years later, I'm still friends with the president at the time who put me in the position. And he said, "I never really believed in the position and what you had put together, but I believed in you." And so he gave me the opportunity to be the business development manager. Wow. I did that for about 5 years, and then ultimately became the director of marketing and business development for the parent company. And it was fun, working for this amazing organization in a really large material supply and construction company, starting, on a shovel and working my way up within the organization. It just kind of proves that anybody can do it. I had kind of school of hard knocks, but I also had some education along the way. And I will tell you this, that, I went to school and played baseball 95 through 98, and I failed in school. I was a terrible student. I was working and going to school and trying to figure it out. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. But the second time I went to school at 26, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I could take everything I was learning and I could apply it.
Come on.
And so it was, to me, that was like, I'm thinking through now, with my children, it's like, how do I make sure that whatever they decide they're going to do, that they're all in and ready to go and do it. And so whether it's a gap year, whether it's continuing education, or whether it's getting a job and learning on the go and getting these experiences. So it'll be fascinating to kind of think through that. Long story short, I wanted to hire BUILDWITT to try and help tell our company's story. Yeah. And I fell in love with the mission of BUILDWITT. And, our sales cycle in a dirt world company is really long, trying to convince kind of people like, hey, we should invest in marketing and we should invest in telling our story. And let's just say it wasn't going as fast as what I would have hoped for. And so I can remember calling, Dan and Aaron and saying, hey, this is going to be a long sales cycle. You guys need to move on. And Dan Briscoe said, how many years are you going to be disappointed before you decide it's time to make a change?
Come on. That's a good line.
I'll never forget it.
I'm going to totally steal that. Like, wow, that's a good line.
And I said, I can remember in that moment thinking to myself, well, what does this mean? What's next? And I said, well, tell me more. And he said, well, we are on a mission to really evolve and innovate and create and change the industry. And we're about to go build this software training program for the industry. And we need you to come be a part of it. And I was just like, I knew right then in the moment, that it was like, this was a huge opportunity for me. I will tell you this too. I struggled with the long sales cycle. Yeah. It was painful. Yeah. And so I was praying every day. I'm a faith-based guy. But I was praying every day for a seat at the table to be able to sit down with the executive team so that I could have a genuine, heartfelt conversation and hopefully convince them that this was something that we needed to do. And what I didn't realize was that the good Lord gave me a seat at the table, but it was just a different table.
Come on.
And so when the opportunity came in, my wife came through the door that day. I told her what was going on, and she had tears kind of rolling down her eyes. Oh, and she said, I said, why are you crying? She's like, I'm happy. She's like, I've seen you get excited and then let down, excited and let down. And just every time you've talked about BUILDWITT and the dirt world and the mission and what they're doing, she's like, Jason, this is what you're fired up about. This is your passion. And she's like, if you can be happy, like that's all that we care about as a family is we just want you to be happy and enjoy what you're doing. And so, 2.5 years ago, I joined to lead the creative agency at BUILDWITT. And, just it's been a hell of a run. I've learned a ton. All the books that I have read, I've actually been able to apply, a lot of those principles. Right. A lot of theory was what I, learned. And now all of a sudden I get to try things. And what's amazing at BUILDWITT is like, it goes from idea to implementation in 48 hours. Wow. And it's one thing I do love about entrepreneurialism and building a business, as a 6-year-old young, we're still trying to figure it out. Yeah. And I love that though. It's like you can go from idea to implementation so quickly. But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride. Started out leading the creative agency, evolved into the chief operating officer role by July. So in 7 months time, we had implemented EOS within that group. Aaron started asking questions. What are you guys doing? Said, hey, we've got systems and processes in place. The team's in a good space. And he was like, how about you come do that for the whole company? Excited for the opportunity to collaborate with Dan and Aaron. That's when we brought Randy in. Super excited for Randy to join as CFO. Randy's one of the smartest guys I've ever met. Love what he's doing with the product, and he's really put some budgets and boundaries within the business, which is just absolutely incredible.
I've had multiple conversations with him, and he is definitely smart. It's a little intimidating. So hopefully he doesn't listen to this, But I mean, he clearly, he's not a nerd, but he loves spreadsheets, which I would think it just doesn't make sense, because he can sit there and have a conversation with you, but it's like, boom, here's the numbers. And his numbers are very specific.
Oh, yeah, very specific.
Yeah.
What's ironic about Randy is he can be very visionary as well.
Yeah.
And so
I can see that.
Very rarely do you find somebody that can be both the visionary and the integrator.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that makes BuildWitt pretty magical, is like we're okay with who we are, and we can play whatever role we need to play at whatever time. For example, I'm leaning into sales and marketing right now in a big way.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that, right?
Yeah.
And, Dan's, let me back up. Aaron's always been visionary, top CEO, chief dirt nerd, which is amazing. Dan's our integrator and president who's leading the organization. You got me in the sales and marketing kind of front, kind of help growing the revenue and figuring out how we can serve clients and people in the dirt world. We've got Randy, who's building product and, leaning into our financial stewardship. And then we've got Kara, which Kara's our secret weapon. She's our systems. She's our chief information officer. And, she really, in a lot of ways, is our integrator who really holds the entire ship together. She makes things happen. She leverages the resources within the organization to make sure that, things are happening. So it's the best leadership team that I've ever been a part of. And the primary reason is just we're operating at the highest level of trust and respect, and we can be genuine and honest and real.
So you just said something there, and then you followed it up before I could even interrupt you. You said it's the best leadership team that you've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
So one, if by chance you're on that team and you're listening to this, that's a pretty big compliment. Two, you followed it up with trust and the ability for you guys to then be effective. I think that's something that, there are these nuggets that come out when we have these honest conversations. And it's like, you've been in the industry for quite a few years. That's quite a statement. This isn't like your second year in the industry.
Right.
And it's the best leadership team you've ever been a part of. And then to tie that with trust, I think that's something that we don't realize the importance of that. And then the ability of what you can do as a leadership team when you have that, it is more than powerful.
That's right.
I mean, it is what we're talking about doing here is changing an industry that probably hasn't changed all that much in your and my lifetime, maybe even combined. And it can be done. We're sitting at an organization that is inspiring because they're doing it.
Yeah.
They are literally doing it right here. And that means it can be done.
Yeah.
But it can't be done if you aren't in the learn and grow category.
That's right.
It cannot be done if you're not in that category.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And the interesting thing is, I would venture a guess that most of the organizations that pass that 100-year mark, which has a very, very, it's a very small club, most of those organizations understood the learn and grow mentality.
That's right.
Versus the other one.
That's right.
Because the other one, I believe, you're going to disappear. You're going to miss it.
That's right. Yeah, I was telling you earlier, there's just some little things that we've incorporated into the organization, and really it's been led by Aaron in many ways, but we operate on Slack from a communication standpoint. And one of my favorite things, I was kind of scared of it in the beginning, was there's a Whoopsie Daisy channel.
I was hoping that you were going to go there.
And, we...
Say it again, though. It's a what now?
It's a Whoopsie Daisy.
A Whoopsie Daisy.
I made a mistake. I've made a critical error. I've caused a problem. Whatever it is, it's a Whoopsie Daisy. You've made a terrible mistake. Well, in the past, a lot of people and a lot of previous generations would hide that, and it would not be talked about because there was like this facade of perfectionism and perfect, and
Come on.
Being this, perfect person. And, what we've realized is that there is only one perfect person to walk this earth. And so if we make a mistake, we share it on the Whoopsie Daisy channel so that everybody in the organization can learn from it.
Yes.
And then there's comments and there's emojis that pop up, and then people, check in on them. Hey, you okay? How's it going? What's going on? Or if there's people that have questions like, tell me more. I'm dealing with this issue and I want to learn a little bit more about that. The second thing that Aaron has incorporated in the business is every week our operational leadership team, we do a weekly debrief, and we share wins and lessons learned.
Yeah.
And, it's easy to chalk up a bunch of wins and just kind of share a lot of the good stuff that's going on. It takes me a while to be vulnerable enough to share lessons learned. And I want to make sure that, like, if I'm sharing something, in that nugget, in that piece, that it's just, genuine, honest, authentic, that could really have an impact on somebody. Because, it's one thing to do it to check the box.
Yeah.
But what I've learned at BuildWITT is people read it word for word. It's like and then on Mondays we get together, a lot of times, and people are asking questions about the debrief. Hey, I saw that you wrote this. I was reading it over the weekend. Tell me more about this. And, as a remote hybrid business, you're only as good as the speed of communication.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can do to communicate, the better off things are. Another thing that Aaron does is he has what's called the Leadership Lagoon. And he'll have a random day of the week. He'll post it on Slack. He'll put it out on people's calendars. And Aaron will literally just come on and teach about a principle. And It's just fascinating that he takes the time and the effort to teach internally. So the thing I love is, like, we're eating our own dog food.
Yeah.
We're using BuildWITT training. We're training every day. We're sharing wins and lessons learned. We're doing Leadership Lagoon. We're in this learn and grow mode, because we know that that's where innovation takes place. That's where creativity takes place. Those are the companies that are going to be the most successful in the industry, no matter what you do, whether you're building or supporting the dirt world.
That's good stuff. So we reached that point. I know that you were nervous about this question.
Mm.
So I'll tell you a secret. There's no wrong answer. And some of the answers have made me think there should be a wrong answer, but there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
So what is a piece of gear or a tool that Jason Richmond cannot live without, that you have to have?
I'm sad to admit it, but it's probably my phone. And the reason for that is, and I thought about it a little bit just because I've listened to a ton of your podcasts, and I know that you asked this question. But for me, I love to connect with people.
Yeah.
And it's got all my phone numbers. I've got messaging. I can communicate. I can connect. It's an easy place to learn and grow. It's an easy way for me to help serve and support other people. I hate to admit it, but it's just one of those devices that in today's day and age, it's super cool, and I leverage it for good.
Yeah.
But I'm also willing to put it down.
Well, I think that it's an interesting thing to say, and I've thought about this because you're not the first person to say that.
Yeah.
And there's a stigma about our phones. And so a lot of people are like, right now they're like, oh, he's addicted to his phone. And that's not what you said.
Mm.
And I think the essence, if I can kind of unpack a little bit what you're saying, it's connection.
That's right.
It's connection. And that and in the culture and the society that we live in right now and where we are, we could not do what we do without that.
That's right.
And it's not a bad thing. And that's something that I think that we need to talk about for the trades industry, the dirt world, all of us, because there is this mantra that, well, we shouldn't be, and I have a friend, he said to me multiple times, ask me how I know. Well, we have this mantra in our culture in construction that it's like, yeah, I'm not on Instagram. Yeah, I'm not on the social things. And we actually wear it a little bit like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And the ask me how I know is that was me. But then I realized what was not happening was connection. And here I have this tool in my hand that has the power to not just reach you.
That's right.
But to reach all of these people. And it's like, I think back to the things that I've learned to the lessons learned that I've had, and they came from connection, not from me being alone in the woods.
That's right.
But being connected with people who are willing to speak and share and invest in me.
Yes.
And so I get why that is something that you can't live without. And I think a big part of that is because of the core ethos of who you are, because you do what you do because you believe in it. Like you said this, we were talking earlier today, and you're like, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm either all in or I'm all out. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's pretty exciting to me because one, that makes you real. And two, it means that if I'm going all in with Jason Richmond, I'm getting all of him.
That's right.
And I like to think of things as a battlefield. And it's like, well, that's the kind of person that I'd want standing next to me on the battlefield.
That's right. Well, the
So-
feelings are mutual.
So that's in that regard, I think we need to break the mindset
Yeah.
that we have about technology and different things like this, because we would not be able to do what it is that we're doing. And if we're really going to break it down and look at it, the wheel was technology,
Right.
you know? So it's like the hammer, technology.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think it goes to like there's this saying, and I don't know who said it first, but too much of anything can be a bad thing. And it's like,
yeah,
if you leverage technology for good, it can be really great.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so, that's where just so many things, I start my morning off every morning. I make coffee. I go get in the Bible app and
Yeah.
do a verse,
Yeah.
I look at photos to kind of remind me of, great times. I, post on social so that I can have connection with the industry. I send text messages. I pick up the phone. I'm still old school. I'm a little older than you'd probably think, but I love phone calls. I love to talk to people. And so, I talk with the team all the
I
time.
come
and
from
they're
the
like,
same school of
they're-
thought.
It's so funny. It's like I send an email or send a text. I'm like, did you call him? It's like
Yeah.
we need to not forget that. And with so
Yeah.
many generations in the workforce these days, we've got to make sure that we know who are we talking to, and let's meet them where they're at.
Absolutely. I think that's super important. And I really believe that that's something that crossed all of the different generations. It's like I can learn about texting. And I believe as leaders, what we need to learn, and even those of us within our organizations, is the biggest thing with a leader is they need to learn how to communicate in different languages. And I don't mean English, Spanish, or French.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned that some members of my team, in my role, if I call them, it's really intimidating.
Right.
And so I need to text them and let them prepare for a phone call if we're going to have a phone call.
Right.
I need to, there are other members of my team that it's like, man, they want a phone call. And as a leader, it's my job to learn how to communicate to them in their best form of communication, even if it's uncomfortable for me.
Right.
I mean, servant leadership really truly is just that. It's like, how do I communicate with this individual?
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons that I'm on social media with my my 42 followers that I have. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you talked about servant leadership, and I went to Anderson University, a small D3 Christian school, and we actually studied Max Dupree and servant leadership, and I absolutely love it. And it's something I believe in. It's deep down in my core. It is truly something I believe in. And they talk about like the inverted pyramid, and I literally, no matter what my title is, like I'm at the bottom. I'm here to serve and support in any way, shape, or form. I've always loved the acronym for team. Together, everyone accomplishes more.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what it's all about. And so when you talk about communication and whatnot, it's just building the right teams. I think we laughed earlier. We're both arrangers, but it's like knowing what do you need in order to win. And I mean, I love to win. I'm a competitive person, and thinking through whatever it is that we're trying to battle, it's like, let's make sure that we're positioning ourselves in the best way possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that is something that, especially in our industry, I say this a lot, and it comes from my son, who called me out once. We were driving past a job that I'd been involved in, and just, if we could do a show of hands on the internet, which we can't, but how many people, when you drive past a job site that you worked on and your family or friends are in the car, you're like, yeah, I was a part of that. I worked there.
We built that.
We built that. And we were driving somewhere, and I'm like, and I'm an electrician by trade, and I was like, I built that. And my son looked at me and he's like, really? I thought you were an electrician. I didn't know that you build stuff, Dad. But out of that came none of us build anything alone.
That's right.
You know, you can't build a building without a good foundation and the infrastructure and the utilities to come into it. You can't build a building without the electricity because there won't be any life in it. It will be useless.
That's right.
You know, unless we're going back to the Stone Age. And it's like, that's the part where collaboration and team really comes together.
Yes.
And I think it's very interesting that that is the way to go far.
Come on.
Like, we're sitting here at the center, and they didn't do this by themselves.
No.
You know, and it's like, I think that's really fascinating. And if you can, and that ties in with the learn and grow and something that Randy has said to me about the abundance mindset, which I know is a BUILDWITT thing. And I believe in it and I identify it with it. It's a Blackline thing. I mean, it's a thing that if you're in the learn and grow club, then that's what you need. And that abundance mindset, we can go really far.
That's right.
You know, and I want to go farther than I am today, tomorrow.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's why we're sitting here together.
Exactly.
We're united.
Exactly.
We're figuring it out.
Exactly.
We don't have it all figured out, but we can definitely figure it out together.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think that's something that, you know, you talked about your leadership team. You talked about some of the things that you guys do. And I love that because you're sharing with people what you're doing that works because you want it to work for them.
100%. They can take some of those simple principles, they don't cost a lot, implement them in their businesses, and it can literally change the organization.
Yeah.
To me, that's what this is. That's what the abundance mindset is all about. It's share everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, take the good, bad, ugly, and different and figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
And take bits and parts and pieces of it. And, you know, one of our core values is be the stagehands, not the stars. And part of that is shining a light on great organizations doing great things so that others can pick it up and run with it.
Yeah. I think that is, I mean, you guys are doing a lot too. Like, you know, we've talked about media and marketing, which, just to be clear, if you're in construction, your media and marketing probably isn't where it should be just because we're the last to the table.
Yeah.
So, I mean, chances are you might not even be listening to this. But I mean, we really need to be investing in that. We need to be doing better at it. And some people are really, really shining with that. And you guys are, and you're shining the light on people. Earlier, you said we were talking about a podcast that I did with a client of yours that you guys had done some work for, and nobody knows that. So you really truly live out the, you know, there's the stars and we're the stagehands, but it's like, really, that's what we need to be doing is promoting and lifting the view of the trades in that way.
Yeah, and I'll just say this too. It's something that, you know, Dan and Aaron and Randy and Chase Harris, who leads our marketing at BUILDWITT now, that we've been kind of thinking through and talking about. But, you know, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And
with people they know, like, and trust.
With people they know, like, and trust. I think Simon Sinek or somebody said it first. I'm not 100% sure, but
lots of good books out of that
lots
guy.
of really good books out of that guy. Yeah, love to see him on stage one of these days at the Dirt World.
I fully recommend and support that.
He's on the list. So we'll see if we'll see what happens. Manifest that into real. But the point that I'm trying to make is, you know, there's this company marketing and personal marketing.
Yeah.
Individual brands, personal brands, and business brands. And, you know, as you're thinking about, man, I'm thinking about doing business with Blackline. And it's the last thing that we want to do.
Yeah.
But people are going to look up Blackline, and they're going to want to know who owns it, who leads it, what's going on. And so they're going to go check out not only Blackline's profiles, but they're going to go look at Joshua Malott. And they're going to want to know, is this person somebody that I know, like, and trust? And so one of the things that we're after is, and we're trying to think through this right now, is how do we encourage more people to be like you, or to be like the Herb Sargents of the world, or to be like the Aaron Witts, or to be like, you know, these foundational business leaders that are also telling their story and communicating and building trust with people, because they need to build the company brands and whatnot and do those things. But it's like, people are going to go and look at everybody who's making an impact within that organization and decide, is this somebody that I want to do business with? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's important to just state, you know, from Blackline's perspective and definitely from Joshua Malott's perspective, the know, like, and trust
Mm-hmm.
is definitely who I believe that BuildWitt is for me. Because I feel like I've really gotten to not only know you guys through listening to your conversations. I did a podcast with a guy by the name of Aaron Nick, and he made a comment. He really educated me on long form podcasts, and he said you can't hide who you are in a long form conversation. And so I think that that's been one thing that's really helped me get to know some of who you guys are. And then just, your investment in people. It's like, I want to be around people like that because I feel like it's not a waste of my time.
Right.
And then the trust piece is you guys are constantly earning trust. Like, I would just say to anybody that's listening, if you have a company that's looking for marketing and for someone to shine the light on your company, that you guys are someone that they can trust because you truly are living out, making the stars your clients and those people, and you're not worried about your own promotion, which is why I'm shouting out for you right now, because it's like, I believe that is the way that we should do it.
Yeah.
Because your work will speak for itself, and the best clients, you've been in the industry for a long time, the best clients are the ones that say, hey, that guy over there, that's the guy that you want to work with. We used him. He was great. He did this, and this.
That's right.
Because for me, those are the people that I want to work with.
Yeah.
Because I know that this person isn't going to recommend them.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I've learned, in the marketing world is it's just like your phone. It's so easy to be fake, and you have to be very intentional in marketing to be real.
Yeah.
Because it's and listen, in the trades, in the dirt world, that's why we hate it so much. Because in our world, you can't not be real. If you're not real, it's going to show up. Instantly. It's going to show up. And it's like, so when you're dealing with a trade or a skill, like in marketing, where, you can promote this and there might not be truth behind it.
Yeah.
We have to be very intentional with our cameras, with our messaging, all that stuff, that there's truth behind what we say.
That's right.
For sure.
Well, and as I just think about, like the dirt world and being relatable to everybody that's out there, whether it's marketing services or whatnot, as well as I do that, when you're partnering with people, whether it's in an estimate or in subcontractors or, whatnot, that like, there's like the list, and it's like, these are the people that like, and trust, and that you want to work with, and they're going to get your best pricing. It's because they got great personal brands. They got great company brands. You can count on them. You're going to work through challenges together and really find those win-win opportunities. And then you have the others.
Yeah.
And it's like, you build a reputation, and
there it is.
And today we have a responsibility and a huge opportunity to build our brand, to build our reputation, so that you can move forward.
I think one of the things that I would say that I recently have learned about something new about reputation, especially in the marketing world. There's two ways that you can go about it. You can be building a reputation, or you can be creating an image. And, it's like, if you're focused on the image of your company or your own personal image or whatever that is, image is not always reality.
That's powerful.
And reputation, that is the reality of who you are. And that's why, like, we talk about mistakes. We talk about lessons learned. We talk about these things. And it's like, I want to build a reputation because my reputation is going to be, he does things wrong. But he's going to stand by it. He's going to learn from it. He's going to move on, and he's going to be honest about it. That's the reputation that I want.
That's right.
And I believe that is far more valuable than image, because an image is just that. It's like a picture, and it's like, that picture is two-dimensional.
That's right.
And it can be cracked, it can be damaged, and it doesn't support anything. But when you build a reputation, it's very much like building a building or building infrastructure. It produces and it does something, where an image doesn't do anything. It just lies to people.
Amen.
So I think that's really important. If you're going to invest in marketing, make sure that you're investing in the right type of marketing, because image will negatively affect your reputation.
Yeah.
But reputation will never create a wrong image.
I got to say this, a little off script, but you talked about best clients.
Yeah.
I just want to add, I would probably have regrets if I didn't say this. Some of the best clients that we've ever worked with are when everybody's on board, all key stakeholders.
Yeah.
From the top down, and they believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
We've worked with people that you've got a group and people are just in different camps and different places, and it's hard to really tell your story and be a part of that. So it's just like when you're ready, everybody should be investing in it. Everybody should be investing in their mission, their vision, their values, their storytelling, and doing these things. But it helps when you're united, and all key stakeholders are bought into what you're doing.
Well, I think I 100% agree, and that comes to if you're not all in, which is something that you eat, sleep, and breathe, it won't work.
That's right.
I gave you that book, Burn the Boats.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we talked about this earlier or not, but basically it's like if you're not burning all the boats, if you're not hiding it. There's a post that Blackline did a few months ago, and it was like, the guy made a comment, and he's like on the post, and it wasn't our post, we reposted it, but he's like, don't hide a boat over here, don't do this over here, burn the boats, be all in, go all after it.
Yeah.
And that's when you'll have success. If you're saving a little dinghy over here, or you have a backup plan, or you have a way out, well, then you're preparing to fail.
That's right.
And so this is a great segue, I think, into reputation, image, fake, real, all that stuff. So let's get real.
Okay.
So this is my favorite question that I love to ask because, and I know I repeat myself, but the fact is that all the things that I've learned that have been hugely important and impactful to me in my life have come through either mistakes and lessons that I've learned from those mistakes over the years. And then also, I've been blessed with some really good mentors, and they have taught me through sharing with me things that they've done wrong, and where they went the wrong way, or they did this or they did that, and especially in a world where we're trying to project this image. And the best leaders are the ones who, I believe, when you can share something that you did that was wrong and maybe even a little painful, people know you're real, and they can learn from it. And you're sharing it. You really are exercising humility. We talked earlier about Patrick Lencioni, and he has a book called The Ideal Team Player. Great book. It's even in construction. And I love this line. He's talking about looking for the ideal team player. You want someone who's hungry, humble, and smart. That middle one, I actually think, is the most important thing in any individual anywhere. Is that humility.
That's right.
Being humble. And so the more that we share the things that we do wrong, especially when we do it publicly. Wow, I'm really working this up. I always say that you can pass, but But what is a mistake or something that went wrong for Jason Richmond that you're willing to share with those who are listening that they might be able to learn from to not make that same mistake? That you would mentor people in, like I've been mentored, that you would share with them.
Well, my mind's went 6 different places in that build-up.
Sorry.
I've made several mistakes, throughout my life and career, whether it's personal or professional. And, I kind of live in the future. And so I had to do some reflecting to kind of think back through, the past and the history a little bit. I think the thing that I want to answer today, talking about reflection and image, is it's trying to be somebody that I'm not. It's really owning who I am.
Come on.
One of my favorite words in the dictionary is awareness. Ooh. And, when you know who you are and you know the value that you can bring to a team, it's pretty magical.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have a choice and you have to play certain roles. And I've done that, and I'll do it, and I'll do it again for the greater good of the team or the mission or whatever it is. But I've found that, when I try to position myself in a way of being somebody that I'm not, then it's usually when, I feel like I've made the biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
And so just owning up to, I'm not a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I'm not great at social media. I'm not great at podcast. I love business development. I love sales and marketing. I love that front end. I'm the chief operating officer, and ops are something that I do because it has to be done.
Yeah.
But really what I love is this connection and so just kind of thinking through I probably it's more of this. The biggest mistake I make is when I try to be somebody that I'm not.
Ooh. I mean, that ties in with everything that we're talking about. So, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Really good at this podcast thing. But I mean, in all seriousness, reputation, image, that's the key right there.
Yeah.
Not to be someone that you're not. Not trying to copy someone else and trying to be them and I think that's something that's really helpful even in leadership. You talk about your favorite word in the dictionary is awareness. I'm going to remember that, mainly because we're recording it and I can come back and listen. But I recently was discussing with someone and talking with the team about, I think, one of the most dangerous things in life. And this doesn't matter if it's your marriage, your girlfriend, your family, your business, whatever, is a lack of self-awareness. Because if we are not aware,
Yeah.
then we don't even know. And the only way that I have found to be able to build that awareness and to be able to do that is to surround myself with people that I trust.
That's good.
Because if there's someone on my team and they're not willing to tell me that I'm wrong,
Yeah.
they can't be on my team.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, you can't manage what you don't know. Great leaders ask great questions. It's critical that you're checking in often.
Yeah.
Where am I? How am I doing? How are we doing? Where are things at? Where are we going? And it's through those conversations, that you can make forward progress.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit, and this is a little different than normal, but BUILDWITT's doing a lot of things. We've talked about,
Yeah.
your marketing. We've talked about the summit.
Yeah.
We've talked about your workshops.
Yeah.
But I think, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, and I know that you love to talk about this stuff. Like I can literally see, where I'm going, and like if it's BUILDWITT related, you just love to talk about it.
I light up.
And that's phenomenal because that's a part of who you are, and I think it's a statement that for those of us who are listening and watching, like this is real.
Yeah.
This is the real Jason Richmond, and I would like to hear a little bit. You talked earlier about, we were talking about like in my industry, there's certifications and then there's training.
Right.
And BUILDWITT has coined this term training, which separates a little bit from the certification world, which I'm not saying isn't important.
Yeah.
But you guys have started to talk about some very innovative and I would say industry disruptive things when it comes to training.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I actually think it's really, really, really important.
Yeah.
There were probably better words than really to use there. My wife, if
No.
she listens right now, she's like, that was the wrong choice of words. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I'll do my best to talk about BUILDWITT training. Randy's our chief product officer, and he is digging in right now and just fascinated with where we're at with that program. But, it started out as leaders that we moved into BUILDWITT training, which is field focused, field first, micro learning training where people can train every day. And so what micro learning training is, it's 3 to 5 minutes at a time, lessons, courses, learning plans, where you can wake up, watch a lesson, 3 to 5 minutes, learn about it, learn something new, and then show up at work and talk about it.
Yeah.
And I started out in the field. We did toolbox talks and things of that nature, and JSAs and all types of things. But what's fascinating to me is that everybody on the crew now can watch the same lesson.
Yeah.
And so then you show up from this common place where everybody's had the same opportunity to learn and grow. And historically, it's always been, the foreman or the superintendent or the project manager that leads that morning conversation.
Yeah.
And what's cool now is like anybody on the crew can lead that conversation. And so you show up and you say, hey, what did we watch? What did we learn? What's something that we could have applied that principle in the past? What's something that we can do on the job site today, and how can we cascade that message moving forward? And to me, that's evolving the industry in a way that's coming in bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
That's memorable, that impacts behavior.
Yeah.
And to me, that's something that's super cool. BuildWitt Training now has over 1,700 videos.
Wow.
It's training and development, and the way that we look at the two is different. Is training is more those hard skills.
Yeah.
How to operate a skid steer, how to read a set of plans or whatnot. Development is more leadership, communication, soft skills, conflict resolution. And the thing is that there's something on BuildWitt Training now for everyone. One of the things that we've leaned into is this, thinking around the wheel of life. And so thinking about, health and nutrition, thinking about, spirituality, thinking about, just the career pathing and growth. And so we've partnered with, like behavioral health is another one. So we've partnered with U-Turn Health.
I listen to that podcast. I love their take on mental health.
They're incredible. Hamilton
are.
Baden, Rich
Yes.
Jones, the entire team, they're fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to partner with companies like that. We talked about First Form earlier. We've got Darren Earlywine, who came to the summit and led our fellowship and coffee. He's heading out to the workshop. We're going to get him, who he leads a program called, teaching people how that everybody was built on purpose and for a purpose, and how to figure out what their purpose is in life. And so it's fun to think about BuildWitt Training in a way that there's something there for everyone. There's a lot of LMSs that are out there, but the hardest thing is to find the content. And so, now that we're at 1,700 videos, there's something for everybody. And it's kind of like Netflix. It's just like, how do you organize it? How do you suggest what people should be watching? What's the first 50 videos? How do you onboard somebody that's new? What's this pathway kind of look like? And, ultimately we want to continue to develop content from a BuildWitt standpoint, but also have partner content, and then companies can create their own content. And we're really encouraging that, where they can take out an iPhone, record a message, upload it, distribute it out to their distributed workforce. You get a record that, if somebody has watched the video, you can even put a quiz question afterwards to get confirmation, but then there's a record that communication has went out. So I'm fascinated by it. I think, training on the go, lessons, courses, and learning plans working towards skills that people want to improve upon. The last thing I'll say, and then happy to answer any questions, is you can assign content, but one thing that's really cool is you can self-assign content. So if you're in a person on a crew and you're like, man, I want to grow. I want to be a leader. I want to do this. I want to do that. There's things I don't know. You can self-assign and work ahead. And what's cool about that is, as an organization, you've got, person A, B, and C who's applying for that foreman job or applying for that next level leadership job. And you're looking at their records and you can say, well, this person's only done the bare minimum. This person hasn't done any of their training. They're behind, actually. And oh my gosh, this person's not only completed everything that we've assigned to them, but they've went above and beyond and completed several courses.
Yeah.
Who are you going to promote?
Well, I mean, that really is encouraging just from a leadership standpoint of being able to see people in your team, especially the farther that you get, when your organization grows, the farther away from the field that you get, being able to see what you're talking about there is that go-getter mentality.
That's right.
And, that is the mentality that you do want to promote from.
That's right.
Because, and you'll be able to, you can see that. And what better place to see it than in I want to learn?
Yeah.
Like, if I want to promote anyone in our organization, it's someone who wants to learn.
Right.
If you're telling me that you don't want to learn, you probably should look for another job.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And I think we all should say that, because that is the opposite of that self-awareness that you speak of, which I would actually argue is dangerous. So
that's right.
And especially in what we do.
Well, imagine if you've got somebody on a crew and let's just say they're struggling in a particular area.
Yeah.
And, it's one thing to have to take time out to go and mentor and coach and lead. It's imagine if you're the leader and you can say, hey, I'm noticing that we're struggling in this area, and I'd love for you to watch a few videos. I'm going to assign a couple to you. I'm going to watch them, and then let's talk about them.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
I mean, like, It's just a caring culture, and you're helping them see things from a different perspective, and you're leveraging, all of this, amazing content in a very short amount of time. Like
Yeah.
you hear from people, I don't have time to go to an 8-hour class, or I don't have time to read a full book, or I get it, right? Like you'll make time if it matters to you.
Right.
But that is one part of the beauty of micro learning is it's 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I will tell you like the Netflix effect is real.
Yeah.
Because I'll like start a course or a learning plan, and it's like, ooh, that was so good. I'm gonna watch the next one.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna watch the next one. So I find myself watching 3, 4, 5 lessons at a time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like into it, and I'm like, all right, I gotta stop. I gotta move on. I gotta go do something. But it's available to you if you want to do that.
I think that's a huge way to leverage technology for the good.
That's right.
And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about your phone. It's like, there's an old phrase. I'm trying to remember. I'm going to totally butcher this, but it's like, in order for evil to prosper, good men only need to do nothing. And it's like, listen, if you don't like where social media is going, if you don't like where technology is going, well, then keep doing nothing.
Yeah.
Keep going that way. But it's like, if you really want to make a difference and you really want to, invest in your people in the future, it's like training like that and leveraging that. I think that's what I love about what you guys are doing is you're deciding to do it.
Yeah.
And you're doing it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I would say is it's not a silver bullet.
Right.
It's not, hey, this is the end all be all. This is going to solve all your problems. This is just part of the daily maintenance that you can be learning and growing, impacting behavior. You still need to do the team meetings, the huddles, the quarterlies, the annual trainings. Like there's still a lot of other things that you should invest in from a continued education and training standpoint. However, this is the best way. You don't go to the gym once a quarter.
Yeah.
You should be working out, exercising that muscle on a regular basis. And by having access to it, your team members have no excuses.
Yeah.
It's like you're struggling with mental health, go check out the U-turn stuff. Want to get better with your nutrition, go check out the First Form stuff. Want to run a skid steer, go watch all the content there. Want to know how to read setup plans, go check it out. I mean, so there's things there for people to kind of look at and to figure out. But it's definitely not a silver bullet. It's definitely a tool. It's an aid. It's something that people can leverage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's the important part is that people are becoming aware of that they can leverage this, and also that if we're going to end up building places like this where we're sitting, that screams innovation, screams 100%. Creativity, and I remember we were talking with what was her name again? Kirsten, thank you. And she was walking us around and giving us a tour, and I said to her, well, how long have you been here? And she's like, a decade. And it was like, that's the other thing that it does. When you invest in people like this, they want to be here.
That's right.
And based on what she said, she's not been here the longest. There are people who've been here a lot longer.
Correct.
And I would just say from a business standpoint, that type of investment is the smart play. Like it's not, listen, things come out of noble beginnings, but it's like there is a good business sense there to that, and continuing to build in that way. And I think that you guys are leveraging something that is new, and the passion, the drive, the fact that, maybe I shouldn't say this, maybe I don't want to out you guys, but it looks like you've burned all the boats.
We have.
And so in that regard, that's exciting to me. I mean, I want to bring my boat alongside yours because I really believe in what you're doing, and I think it has the opportunity to. And like you said, it's not a silver bullet, but yet it's a tool that we need. I was an electrician by trade. There's not one screwdriver that takes care of them all.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a tool belt with multiple tools in it, and I would use what I needed for the task.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a tool that didn't exist before.
Yeah. I got something to share that a little off script, but I'm going to share it. I think
it's so cute that you think we have a script. So.
Okay. All right. There are a lot of people watching from afar.
Yeah.
And they're just watching.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, I kind of like what they're doing, kind of believe in what they're saying, but they're in this protect and defend mode, and they're not willing to lean in
Come on.
to what we're doing. So whether it's Blackline or whether it's BUILDWITT or whether it's another company that's serving in the dirt world, here's what I want to challenge the industry to. We have 65 lives that we're in care for at BUILDWITT. And the only way that we're able to care for those people who are producing creative work and jobs boards and training platform and these events, and all of Aaron's travel, like you can watch his influence on YouTube and social media, like that stuff's not free.
Yeah.
We are building a business. And if you believe in what we're doing, talk to your organizations.
Yeah.
Lean into it. We're only going to get better with customers.
Yeah.
We're only going to get better when we build something extremely valuable that you find value in. And I promise you, it's only going to get better. Like the value that you get today, give us another year and it'll be better. Give us another year and it's going to be better. So we're in this like survive to thrive moment. We've burnt every boat.
Yeah.
There's nothing left. And so you can invest in other LMSs, you can invest in other systems and make probably a lot of companies in Silicon Valley lots and lots of money, which is great. But we're for the dirt world, by the dirt world. We are invested heavily in this industry. And I would just challenge everyone that like, if companies like Blackline or BUILDWITT or others that are out there, if they have products and services that you could use, come join us.
Yeah.
Come be a part of it. We are humble. We're hungry. We're open to new ideas and innovation. We don't just sit around and be like, oh, we got all this figured out. No, we're asking great questions. We're trying to, all right, what do you love about the platform? What do you hate about the platform?
Yeah.
What kind of content do you want? How can we go get better content? We're looking for strategic partnerships. We just partnered with John Deere. We've got amazing subject matter experts that are now offering, some amazing education and training from John Deere, one of the biggest and baddest brands that's out there. And so we're going to continue to evolve as an organization. But I just really challenge everyone to be like, man, help us help you. Like, we need help. And it's not in a desperate way. We're doing okay. But, man, we want to be doing great. We want to be thriving so that we can reinvest in our people, our systems, our processes, our platform to make things even better. And really, it's that's going to help attract the next generation.
Yeah. Well, and I would just drive it home even farther because I know what you're talking about, and I would just say it's like, listen, you can if you're in a marketing department or you're about business development or any of that stuff, some of what you're offering in that world, it's like, why invest with an agency that has no connection to what it is that you do? Why not invest with an agency that is also building a program to make your people better?
Yeah.
Like, why not invest in a training platform with a company that wants to build what it is that you're doing? And if you're not understanding that there is more than enough work for us all out there, there's more than enough money for us all to live some really good lives. Mm-hmm. And I would even go farther than that. I would say, if you care about the future for your children, it is not about the value of the dollar or the economy. Are they going to be able to flush their toilet or turn the lights on?
Amen.
That's what it's about. And so I just would challenge you, if you're listening and you're talking with, a marketing agency, just take a breath, take a moment to think about, well, I could invest in an organization that is actually putting their profits and their monies back into lifting the view of the dirt world or the skilled trades. Sorry, I used our visionary tagline there.
I love it.
I mean,
we're aligned.
But I mean that is the truth. We are aligned. That's why we're doing what we're doing. This stuff isn't free.
That's right.
I have a mortgage just like the next guy, and we need to be investing in organizations that want to lift the view of the trades, right. and want to create a better dirt world, because that's a better world for all of us.
Yeah.
So.
And if you want to come and learn, a little bit more about it, kind of get a look under the hood, that's what these workshops are for. That's what the events are for. It's a place to come together as an industry and kind of shake hands and have conversations and build relationships and learn and grow together, and then start to figure out, well, what do I need to do? Well, with 1,200 people in the room, chances are you're going to have a lot of wins and lessons learned
Yeah.
that you can figure out what's my best path forward.
Yeah.
And it's not a, again, you're still going to have bumps and bruises along the way as you're trying to figure this thing out. But, it's action
Yeah.
that, that we need. It's people who are going to go above and beyond just their core competencies of building roads and bridges. It's investing in, the departments and the other things as well that are going to be super critical.
Yeah. I agree. Well, Jason, I was going to ask you what's something you would encourage and challenge people here as we come to the end, but you went right on with it. I would challenge anyone who's listening. This is called the line for a reason. And I would say we're drawing a line in the sand and we're saying no more with the way business has been done in our industry. We're saying no more with the status quo. We're saying no more with what's been going on for the past 50 years. And listen, not everyone's been doing it wrong, but not enough of us have been doing it different. And so we really need to step up to the line and say, all right, and challenge others to step up with us. When I first met Aaron, it was within the first few months of starting Blackline. And I started Blackline because I believe in the mission of what we're doing. And I realized that more than just you needed to be about it. And so we had our team, when we had gone around for our first year, and we were trying to get people to buy in and be like, let's be a part of this. We have these little coins that we gave out. We call them founding partner coins. And I gave him one, and I said, and you have one right there because I gave you one as well. And I didn't give it to you today.
No.
But because we believe in an honest conversation and lifting the view of the skilled trades. And that honestly came out of what Aaron and your team started doing. And so I gave him the coin because he had challenged me to step up to the line. And so if you're listening, this is from Blackline and BUILDWITT.
Yeah.
Step up to the line. Make a difference in your industry. I don't care if you're a plumber, if you're in heavy civil, if you are a fire protection guy, whatever it is, a drywaller, it doesn't matter. Step up to the line and make a difference in your industry for the better.
Amen.
So, yeah.
Love it.
All right.
I'm with you.
Cool. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time today.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Good deal. All right, man. Thanks. We're out.
100%.
All right.
Dude, I had a blast.